This is a bit of an NDIS DCJ residential care crossover post. It has some real life practical examples, and this will help paint the picture of how the system is setting everyday families up to fail and really just fueling the system. On a Monday morning, I have 3 children at home. One that needs to go to school at 9, then another one at 10, then another one about 45 minutes later. We have physiotherapy attend at home on a Monday morning because 2 of our children have disabilities. On Monday, there is 5 drop-offs, pickups from the school, 5 trips. I can't leave the children at home alone with the physiotherapist, clearly, so one of us needs to be here while the other one does the running backwards and forwards. Today there was also an assembly thrown in the mix at 9 o'clock, and because it was the first assembly for my little one, kindergarten, one of us of course wanted to be there. There was also a 10 a.m. health appointment for one of us, so can you see where we're going? A support worker would be an amazing asset in that particular scenario. Now, we had support workers, one that was absolutely brilliant, but for some strange reason, the NDIS LAC felt like going on this Google rampage. I don't see where they've listed or they've got a website or this or that, and what are they doing? This support worker was incredible, would take the children out to specific things that would help their specific needs. For instance, they were a qualified swimming teacher, and because 2 of my children have specific needs that require ongoing physiotherapy, hydrotherapy and extra things, that was getting done a lot. Whilst the child or children were being very backwards and forwards from appointments or engaging in these experiences that were beneficial to their disability, Scott and I were not at home having a holiday, washing, cleaning, doing all those extra things, making sure all the children's appointments were booked in. It was go, 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 go the whole time they were gone. We were not resting. Or God forbid one of us actually had a medical appointment that we were all of a sudden then told, no, you can't leave your child or children alone with a support worker. No justification, nothing. The support worker used to assist with their drop-offs and pickups. They used to do developmental educator stuff, which was very helpful and has been noted by the teachers at school that it was working. But all of a sudden, no, now can't do that. The impact of this is as follows. My husband had 2 surgeries within a 6 to 8 week period. There were 4 children in the house, 3 with needs, running backwards and forwards, appointments, hospital was like 45 minutes away. I did that solo. So I've just now painted a picture of a family that is being stretched to the limits with appointments and whatnot, and then told, no, you can't have support. But then yesterday I attended a public venue. There was 2 carers from a residential care setting. Now those 2 carers were paid for a 2-hour period that I had child or children from that setting. Those people also have money to pay for activities for those child or children that I had in that setting. I paid. Carers from that setting did not stay. If you think about it, there's other times in residential care where, support workers are taking children out to sometimes 5, 6, 7 hours a day. I know I have done that too as an individual person. Then the carers at the residential place are sitting down on the lounge for 8 hours at a time having a break. They're on a paid shift. They're not caring as such like we would be as parents. They're on a paid shift. Yet the NDIS are also getting paid to take the young person out so that the carer that are being paid can have a break, even though they get to go home and sleep. Also, then as an individual, then taking young people in out-of-home care out to activities, I'm not paid. I then pay for the activities and pay for everything while they get a break. You see where I'm going here? Yet in our own family situation, they can't understand that we don't get a break. We don't get to just clock off. We sometimes don't sleep overnight. And there's all these trips. And then our health goes to pot because we also don't get a break to go to the doctor. Not like a break, but a break to actually go to a medical appointment. I used to work insane hours on top of all of this. So explain to me how residential care workers are benefiting from having paid NDIS supports to come in and just take the children out to babysit them. Like, they're not taking them out to appointments, I need to be clear. They are babysitting them and usually just driving them around. They don't have money, so they're not actually doing decent activities with them or experiences. Yet our support worker that was doing all of that, and we can evidence all of that with photos, with logs, observations that were documented. We're not allowed to do that. Essentially, this is how the system set up families to fail. If you look at the risk assessment category, this is also how we end up with more children in care. So for whatever reason, I had a helpline report and I had a SARA process. Because we're Aboriginal, we get a tick. Because there's children with disabilities, we get a tick. They would look at supports in place. So, we don't have a great amount of family because sadly they all died. So that's a tick. This is how families end up losing their children. Like, what if I was to become gravely unwell? Something would have to give, right? This is just a really easy family preservation situation. And by no means am I saying we're not coping. Please don't take that. Because if I have one Rosh report out of doing this post as an awareness, I will flip my lid. This is just a pure example of how families are set up to fail. And that beautiful children that are happy, looked after, have all the services in the world and whatnot, if for whatever reason something was to happen to myself or to my husband, could very much end up in the care system. Can you imagine what that would look like? It would probably look like my children ending up in a hotel, motel, or a caravan park with 2-to-1 ratio, no supports, no therapy. They would probably stop going to their very lovely school that they are very happy at, and they would most likely be separated. Put your hand up if you're in the same boat. I would love to hear your thoughts. It's very interesting how DCJ disability is all under the one minister.